Okay, we are going to talk about the analytical tools which are being used for strategic management, which are being used in strategic management rather. So, in that sense, we have different tools uh, being used in different times. Basically, with the purpose of analysis as well as strategy formation and monitoring in the time of monitoring. So there are three categories of tools: analytical tools. The second set we may call it as strategy formation tools. Third category we may call it as monitoring tools. So today we are going to talk about the analytical tools in strategic management. In that, once again, there are several options that you have. It's just like a toolbox where you have several tools or different tools with different purposes, where you can use these tools accordingly, according to your purpose, according to your situation, according to your sort of circumstance. In that sense, there are several tools that we are going to talk about: SWOT analysis and the TOWS analysis, portfolio models, micro environment analytical tools, macro environment analytical tools. Today we are going to concentrate on SWOT analysis. As you may know, SWOT analysis stands for four major words: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. So analyzing the situation with those four headings is what you call the SWOT analysis. Predominantly, strengths and weaknesses, the first two items, are relating to the present context, which means that is those two are in existence at present, and the impacts are also at present. The following two headings, that means opportunities and threats, predominantly they may appear at present, but the impacts are basically for the future. So one can categorize these four into the present as well as for the future. Two headings, that is strengths and weaknesses, are at the present. Opportunities and threats are at future. That is one kind of categorization of, or rather differentiation of this particular analysis. There's another way of looking at it, whereas two of those are beneficial for the person or the company that we are talking about. That means strengths and opportunities are beneficial, whereas weaknesses or threats are detrimental. In that sense, it's another way of looking at it, right? So as we may know, SWOT analysis is that we are going to analyze, we are going to collect data on the strengths that we have, the weaknesses that we have, the opportunities that we have, as well as the threats that we will have, right? So in that sense, we can think of with whom or on whom or at where we are going to use this SWOT analysis. Basically, we can think of, you can use it on individual basis. A person can go for an analysis of his own, which is a SWOT analysis on an individual basis, as well as we can use it for a group or for a team. On the other hand, you can use it for a department or for a SBU, that means strategic business unit. Or else you can use the SWOT analysis for a business organization or for another organization. It may be non-profit organization, NGO, whatever the organization. Or else you can use the SWOT analysis for geographical areas, which means a village, a town, district, province or whatever, and even for a country. SWOT analysis could be used for a country, right? So it all depends on what purpose that you are going to use this SWOT analysis. Here we are going to concentrate on business organizations, right? We are going to use this SWOT analysis for a business organization in this particular thing. Now the next thing is that we are going to collect data according to the SWOT analysis. Collect data under 4 headings: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats. Those data should be very clear. It should be very clear, because you can't have any kind of an ambiguity. Basically what we say is that the data should be unambiguous, because when you are going to analyze on some set of data, if the data is not very clear, then your analysis will go wayward. That is normal for any kind of analysis. It is common for this SWOT analysis as well. And the next point is that this particular data should be extremely honest. The point is this: now when you are going to talk about strengths, you have to talk about the strengths. You have to write down the strengths that you have in an honest platform, on an honest platform. Weaknesses, definitely you have to be very honest when you are writing down your weaknesses. You can't hide 1 or 2 weaknesses and then you can think of the rest. And opportunities, threats, under all the headings, everything should be extremely honest. We have experienced in several businesses, when the business is growing up to some level, then the business owners think of the opportunities in a elaborated mode, which means that they are overestimating their opportunities. So therefore, they may, if that is the case, then it is not an honest opinion, it's not an honest data collection, right? Opportunities, strengths, weaknesses and threats, everything has to be very honest. And whatever the data that you collect under these 4 topics should be able to process. We call it could be processed, which means that it's no point in collecting data which you cannot process, right? If some data which are not relevant in terms of processing, then there's absolutely no point in thinking or going behind those things. The other point is that the next point is that these data should be obtained with a specific purpose, which means if you are doing the SWOT analysis on an individual basis, the data collection also has to be concentrated on individual basis. If it is data being collected on group basis, or for a company basis, or for a country basis for that matter, then the data should be collected accordingly. And the other thing is, these data should be utilized promptly, which means you can collect data on the basis of SWOT analysis under these 4 topics. You can collect it today, and you cannot, the today's situation might change by tomorrow, might change by the next week, by next month and next year. So the immediate usage of data has to be done. Or else, on the other hand, if you want to do the SWOT analysis, if you want to do the analysis according to with the purpose of strategic management, then only you have to do the SWOT analysis. You can't do a SWOT analysis and keep it aside and then look at those things afterwards and then formulate a strategy, which is not going to work. In simple terms, if you are going to use the SWOT analysis, use the data immediately. That is utmost important. Now we'll talk about the SWOT analysis, which means how to implement, how to use these data which you have collected on the basis of SWOT analysis. SWOT is that you are going to transform your positions, threats to opportunities. SWOT means T to O, that means threat to opportunities, which means that you are going to transform the threats that you are going to face as for your opportunities, which means the detrimental thing you are going to transform into a beneficial thing. Weaknesses to strengths. Once again, if you have identified your weaknesses, you have to transform those into strengths. Obviously, sometimes you cannot do these things. Then there are other ways of looking at it. So what is absolutely needed is that SWOT analysis says that the detrimental aspects should be transformed into the beneficial aspects. That is what is needed, right? So therefore, threats should be transformed towards the opportunities, weaknesses should be transformed towards the strengths, right? If this transformation is going to happen, then you have to once again think of the priorities. Priorities should be given accordingly. It might some of the transformation might be easy, some of the transformation might take longer time. Whatever said and done, you have to list down the priorities. If, say for an example, if there is a threat of if there is a threat of a competitor is coming into the market, then your position is going to hamper. You are going to your market position is going to get affected. So you may have to act promptly, or you may have to think of a different strategy to face this threat. So that is a priority. Sometimes there are less priority. You can have when you list down low priority things could be there, right? And the other thing is that you have to maintain the beneficial points, which means the strengths and the opportunities. You have to maintain those positions. You cannot go down from there. You always have to maintain whatever the actions that you take cannot be affecting in a negative manner towards those two. As you may know, you have identified you have identified 5 threats, 5 strengths, 6 opportunities. So those 11 should be maintained as it is. On the other hand, transformation or minimization of the detrimental points. If you cannot transform threats to opportunities, weaknesses to strengths, or else you have to minimize those things. Threats you have to minimize, weaknesses you have to minimize at least. So this is the overall thing where we've been talking about the SWOT analysis and how to face the SWOT analysis with the analysis, how to face the future with the transformation process. Thank you.